Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of I Bought a Watch. If you're new to the channel, welcome, and if you like what you see, please remember to like and subscribe. Before I get into today's episode, just a reminder, I am doing a poll to select the prize for my 2,000 subscriber giveaway. I'll leave a link to it in the description below, so by all means go check that out if you're interested. Today we've got a special episode, and one that's been a long time coming on my Christopher Ward C-65 Super Compressor. This is by far my most expensive and luxury watch, and so to treat it and immortalize it in its current state before it gets too bashed up, I've tried to go the extra mile in this episode, but all that it's really done is highlighted that I do need to invest in some better camera and lighting equipment if I ever want to make some really swish looking reviews. But enough said, let's get into this review. So the review will have the same basic structure. I'll go through the background of the Christopher Ward and the piece itself, then go through some of the dimensions and specifications, primarily looking at the positives in my opinion. I'll then try it on a few different straps and round it off with some reasons not to buy this watch. Now, if you haven't seen one of my reviews before, that's not to say that I don't think that this watch is worth the purchase. I'm simply outlining some of the drawbacks with the idea that if you can come to terms with them, then there is no reason for you not to buy this watch. Okay, kicking things off with the background. Christopher Ward is the first online-only luxury watch retailer who make British-designed, Swiss-made pieces that really push the boat out when it comes to design, creating great-looking pieces drawing from a range of different era divers primarily, at a very competitive price point in a well-made modern package. The 2020 C-65 Super Compressor is what we're going to be looking at today and has been heralded by Christopher Ward as a piece of watchmaking history. Now, let me unpack that a little bit. The Super Compressor was originally designed in the 1950s by casemaker Irvin Picares as a revolutionary development in watch water resistance technology. The basic premise was to harness the increased water pressure a diver experiences as he descends to force the case back against the seal, creating a case construction that increased in water resistance with every meter descended. Over time, the technology was phased out in the 70s due to better high-precision machining techniques. However, Christopher Ward has brought the technology back, making this the first genuine super compressor in 50 years. And what's even cooler and makes this the aforementioned piece of watchmaking history is that this is the first super compressor to ever feature an exhibition caseback. But we'll give that a closer look in a little bit. Moving on to the watch dimensions, we have a diameter of 41 millimeters, a lug-to-lug of 47 millimeters, and a rather large lug width at 22 millimeters. The case thickness here is 13 millimeters. However, a good proportion of that is taken up by this incredible box-domed sapphire crystal. Speaking of the box-domed sapphire crystal, this generates ridiculous levels of distortion. However, due to a generous application of light blue anti-reflective coating, at some angles this crystal is really unnoticeable. This is my first experience with light blue anti-reflective coating, and it really is incredible just how it can cause the crystal to completely disappear. It is very similar to what you would expect from an acrylic crystal, but obviously has the added scratch resistance benefits that sapphire provides. The crystal clarity really allows you to appreciate this watch's main event, and that is this dial. Now, there is a lot going on here and quite a lot I want to say, so instead of going through it sequentially as I usually do, I broke it down into three main topics. Starting off with one of the most striking is this dial's use of color. And what jumps out straight away at you is that orange. A color synonymous with importance, and here highlights the key parts of the watch if it was to be used for its intended purpose. The tip of the seconds hand and paddle styled minute hand stand out wonderfully against that brown-black fume dial. And the orange here marries up with the triangle on that rotating bezel. Again, orange is used at the 2 o'clock crown to indicate its importance and connected functionality. Orange is also used for the super compressor text printed on the dial above the 150 meters, 500 feet of water resistance, with other notable text being the Christopher Ward printed under the 12 and Swiss made embedded in that minute track at 6 o'clock. Moving around to the 4 o'clock position and running all the way up to 1, Continuing the theme of the use of colour are subtle but rather striking yellow loom pips, no doubt signifying the importance of the 15 to 20 minute safety stop all divers should allow on ascent to prevent from decompression sickness. White loom pips are embedded at the hour markers within the fairly complex minute track. Some other reviewers have criticised its complexity and argue that it clutters the small dial. However, personally, it's one of my favourite aspects of the watch for two main reasons. One, it makes it incredibly easy to accurately read the time on this one. And two, now this might just be me, but I really think it looks like spokes on a vintage styled white wall tyre. Maybe some of you see what I mean. The second topic I want to focus on is this dial's use of texture. Moving back to the handset, the smooth orange tip on the seconds hand contrasts wonderfully with the brushed finish along the remainder of the hand and trident counterweight. The hour hand is dual finished with polished edges and a longitudinal brushing running through the middle section, creating a visual contrast that plays with the light. The sloped faceted hour markers carry on this interesting texture dynamic, catching the light and causing them to shine against that matte dial surface. My final point of appreciation is the sizing and positioning. Little things like how the hour hand blends seamlessly into that hour marker, or how the minute and seconds hand extend all the way to the dial's edge, really enhancing that connection between the dial and the bezel. Before we move on to the bezel, let's take a look at the C1 Superluminova applied to the handset, hour markers and loom pips, with the addition of a loom triangle in that bezel. The loom is generously applied to the handset, which have a good amount of real estate. However, the hour markers, as you can see, quickly fade over this 10-minute time lapse, starting with the yellowed pips at the 1 through 4, shortly followed by the rest. As promised, moving onto the bezel, the previously mentioned hashed 2 o'clock crown with the orange anodized aluminium ring gives you control over that 120 click unidirectional inner rotating bezel. I like the inclusion of the markers over the full 60-minute range, as well as the vintage styled Arabics at the multiples of 10 that can be used as reference points. Moving out from under the crystal, we have an industry standard 316L stainless steel cushion case construction. However, the use of finishing is anything but that, far exceeding what I would expect from a diver's tool watch. Looking down from above shows a largely brushed pillowcase with the exception of the slim polished fixed bezel and the beveled edge providing a great outline to the piece. However, the true magic is appreciated when looking at the cased profile. The contrasting finish here all works together to slim down that case and make it appear a lot thinner than the 13mm thickness would suggest. Looking around at the other side, the second 4 o'clock crown is signed with the twin flag stamp, signifying the Swiss-British relationship of Christopher Ward. Unscrewing the crown gives you access to the Sellita SW200-1 inside. This 26 jewel Swiss-made automatic movement is a simple, no-date, 3-hand complication piece with hacking, hand winding, and a 38-hour power reserve. The movement can be viewed through the screw-down exhibition caseback, which shows off the aluminium anodized compression ring, which features the words Super Compressor, and a nice little touch is the diver's helmet icon as well. Looking through the cutouts allows you to view the hair-thin compression spring, and engraved around the caseback is the unique serial number as well as a list of specs, including Swiss-made, stainless steel, and 150 meters of water resistance. Moving on to the bracelet, we have a 3-link, solid end link stainless steel bracelet finished completely in a brushed finishing. Sizing the watch can be a little fiddly as Christopher Ward has chosen to use the bidirectional pushpin system, and personally I would have much preferred to see screw pins used here. The bracelet has a taper of 22mm at the lugs down to 18mm at the clasp, which bumps back up to 20mm. The clasp itself is wonderfully signed on the top with that twin flag logo and features bevels running along each edge. The clasp is milled and features a double pusher security system. What's really cool about the clasp is the ratcheting micro adjust system, which allows you to adjust on the fly and then tighten it on wrist to ensure the perfect fit. Moving back to the top of the bracelet, Christopher Ward has done something really cool by introducing a quick release system into the bracelet's end links. Although a little fiddly for my chubby fingers, this system greatly reduces the time required to switch out straps on this one. Speaking of which, let me pop it on wrist and then switch it out onto some other straps. On wrist, this one wears a dream thanks to the solid bracelet construction and micro adjust. The impeccable finishing and inner rotating bezel really allow this one to be dressed up or down as the situation demands. And as the previously mentioned quick release spring bars allow for swift strap changes that allow you to switch up the look of this piece in a moment's notice. While I'm showing you the watch on wrist, let me go into the final part of the review, which is the reasons not to buy this watch. Now, although it's probably clear that I do really love this watch, stepping back and being impartial, there are a few things to be made aware of before you go and pick this one up for yourself. First is the price. I haven't told you the price during the course of this review for two main reasons. Firstly, the price I paid for this piece is no longer available, as it was discounted in the Christopher Ward January 50% off sale. However, if you wanted to go pick up a C-65 super compressor right now, on Bracelet, it would cost you around £1,000. Now, unfortunately, you couldn't go pick up this colorway as it has been discontinued, and speculation about the 50% January sale was a likely push to sell out the remaining stock of this Black Sands color. Now, why would Christopher Ward sell a 2020 flagship release in a January 2021 sale? Well, my thoughts is this is due to a rather unfortunate quality control issue on this model. If you hadn't noticed already, the orange super compressor text is ever so slightly misaligned to the left. So that £400 to £500 discount was applied. Now, I acknowledge that this will be completely unacceptable if you have any form of OCD, but would I personally, if given the option, choose to fix it for £400 to £500? I think definitely not. Also, in a weird way, I kind of like the error and applaud Christopher Ward for selling the models at a discounted price, which really shows how much they value their quality control. But on that note, there were two other quality control issues, well, they were more like niggles that I have noticed and wanted to point out. First is to do with the bracelet. And this bracelet, I've got to say, is superbly constructed and has been precision machined to an incredible standard. So it is no surprise to hear that Christopher Ward bracelets do sell at a premium on the used market. However, the issue I've noticed is where the bracelet itself meets the case. There is definitely a small yet noticeable gap, which is just something I wouldn't expect from a £1,000 watch. The next quality control issue is to do with the bezel. Now, as I said, the bezel has everything you would want for diving. 120 clicks, unidirectional. However, I have noticed a little bit of play, which is hardly a problem as the bezel is internal. But again, it's something that could potentially disappoint if you were paying full retail price for this watch. Anyway, these are just my opinions. Please let me know what your guys' thoughts are in the comments down below. And that rounds up my review on this piece. I think it's clear to say that I do love this watch for all of its faults and have some fun video ideas lined up for you guys on the channel. So if you're interested, please do like this video and subscribe. In the next episode, I will be announcing the subscriber giveaway competition, so go and vote in the poll linked in the description to go pick yourself your prize. All that's left to say is stay awesome, stay safe, and I'll see you again in the next episode. Bye!